mean, I've been successful all my life in business, and I owned a title insurance company. That's my background. I owned it for 20 years, and then I sold it, and I didn't sell it. I gave it to my staff, and they now have a title insurance company, and I'm selling screws, which I hate. And people laugh when I say that, but the process was so daunting that, you know, I never found hope out there. Like, I always say that the screw has enabled me to make a living, but my real passion is now helping other inventors. And I go around the country on my own dime, spend my own money, getting to people like you guys to bring you hope that the dream, if you stick to it, is out there. You have to believe in what you're doing. And what he was talking to you about tonight, about perseverance, about patience, about not knowing where to go when you have an idea, what to do next. There's no place in this country really that you can go to. The educational system in this country doesn't have any place for you to go. I spend a lot of my free time at the University of Tampa talking to entrepreneurs, MBA students, trying to change the system, because there's a lot of frustrated inventors out there. I flew to Bentonville, Arkansas, to Walmart 9 months ago and showed them my product, and they didn't do anything with it. I had to beat out 4,300 people in a contest in order to get a product that is better than what's out there today. It makes those screws absolute, those little tiny screws that you used to use. Now, if it took me all of that, when the optical industry has been selling my screws for 2 years now, and they've sold 5 million, why can't I penetrate the retail market? What is wrong with the system? So I busted my butt on that contest, that Walmart contest, and there was 1 grand prize winner and 2 first prize winners. And the grand prize winner was the only person that was allowed to go on the shelves directly. I'm on Walmart.com now. But does everybody know what I got beat out by?
Water.
A bottled water. Walmart, yeah, they targeted this as the American Idol for inventors. And I can't say too much bad because you can't do that, and I got beat out by a bottled water. How bad is the system, right? The system's broken. I was so mad, I was going to go out there and like slam everybody, because I was like, oh my God, how do I get beat out by bottled water? I'm not a sore loser, believe me. If the product was a good invention, I'd have been good for you. I want people to be successful, but bottled water, well, I didn't say anything, and I talked to my mom, and I talked to my son, and talked to people, and said, I can't go out there and bash them. Well, guess what? It's a good thing I didn't. They called me last Thursday, and guess who their guest speaker is at their shareholder meeting next Saturday?
Nancy?
Yeah. They are flying me to Bentonville, Arkansas next Saturday to be their guest speaker to their shareholders. And I'm going to teach them what they need to know about how to get a product on the shelf at Walmart. I will take some product. I would be happy to take product with me. But the system is so broken, and there's so many good I mean, I travel. I didn't bring any with me, but I mean, I was at the hardware show in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and I saw some awesome inventions. I saw this one woman, she's like this close to being there. You know, I saw it last year at a show, and then I saw her this year at a show, and she's ready to quit, and she had a great invention. She's like, I can't do it anymore. And then she's got these people coming up to her and praying on her. Give me this money, give me that money, give me, to do this, to do that. And one of my favorite things, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, but my first lesson in bringing your product to market is if they ask you for money up front, run. Run. You have the product. If you believe in your product, why are you paying somebody to help you do a job that you can do yourself? When I invented Snap It, I was all about paying people because I didn't know what I was doing. So I figured if I paid somebody, it would be easier to get it out there. Well, what ended up happening in the long run, after spending a lot of money, was I realized that nobody was going to work on my product like I was going to work on it. I actually have some real nightmare stories I could tell about things that had happened to me along the way. And I'm glad they happened because I have a lot of knowledge now that I can teach. But one of the first things that happened to me, well, first of all, when you get an idea, I should start at the beginning. When you get an idea, like he was saying, you have to protect it. And especially now that the patent laws have changed. You know, come next year, it's not first to invent anymore. You know, it's first to file. And that's huge. It's a horrible, I think. I know you're a patent agent, but I think the process is horrible. I mean, it's taken away a lot of our power as independent inventors. I mean, it's given the corporate world so much more power because they have the funds to get to the patent office before we do. But to file a provisional patent application is dirt cheap. Find yourself a patent agent. I did mine myself. I actually filed like 5 of them because every time I thought of something, I just kept filing them. And you know, even though you do that, when you start talking about it, I would sign confidentiality agreements and I would sign non-disclosure agreements. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give you because there's too many people out there that are going to try and wiggle their way into your world.
Is LegalZoom any good?
Would I use LegalZoom? Is that the question?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, patent. I would go to a patent agent or a patent lawyer. I use an agent myself. You know, it depends on what you're comfortable with. But agents tend to know more, I think.
Okay.
They can't practice law, so if you're in an infringement case, they're not going to be able to help you there. But they have to pass an exam just to be a patent agent. And it's just like the bar almost, but it's all about patent. And it's hard to pass it. It's not an easy test. So my guy's a patent agent. He's in New York. I have patents all over the world. I have, what I did was I filed a regular patent application. At the same time, I filed a PCT International patent application. And I had a year from the time that I filed that international application to decide what countries I wanted to get examined in, to where I wanted my patents. And I have them everywhere. I mean, because after the first year, I knew I had something. But that's the beauty of the provisional patent, is that in that year's time that you're working on this project, you're going to know after a year if you have something that's going to go somewhere. I mean, it's if you get legs, you get, you know, if you get people excited about it, then you know that it's something worth pursuing. A lot of people don't care if they have it patented in anywhere other country. They just want to do it here. I'm greedy. I wanted to do it. I spent about $250,000 in patents, in applications and patent exams and fees. I've gotten every bit of it back and I'm way ahead of the game now. I'm one of those lucky people that have a product that actually went to the market. But with that said, I was depressed for 3.5 years, literally didn't want to do this. Literally at one point took this package and I threw it in my closet and I let it sit there for 6 months. I didn't do a thing with it. And what happened, this is like divine intervention. One day I was at my desk and I broke my glasses. And this is the God's honest truth. And I was up at my desk and I go, God, I gotta go get one of them screws, you know? And I went down there and I picked the screw up. There's 5 different size screws in that package and I picked one up. And the first one I picked up, I dropped it in, I screwed it down and snapped it off and my glasses were fixed, like in 30 seconds. And I went, man, this is just too good not to do, you know? And that's when I picked it up again. And what happened to me was, my original thought was I was going to license it. So I started putting some feelers out there, and I actually did a license agreement with Foster Grant. But, what a mistake I made, but the mistake ended up being a blessing. So I signed an agreement with them. They were going to pay me a certain dollar every time they sold a kit. So we did an agreement. and they do nothing. Not one thing. I had no performance clause in my agreement. Now, I didn't know any better. I was just a title insurance girl. I didn't know about performance clauses and stuff. So after 9 months, there was a provision in the contract that after 9 months, if they didn't get it on the shelves, I was able to get out of it. So after the 9-month period ended, around 7 months, and they hadn't done anything, I was praying they didn't do anything. Because now I'm out there, and I was at trade shows and stuff, and people were like, the hype was coming, and I'm like, oh crap, I probably should have done that, you know? So I ended up getting it back after 9 months, but that took me out of the market for 9 months. So the process is, you know, I was getting so frustrated because it just seemed like everything I did, I made a mistake. I hired somebody, I gave them $10,000 to bring it to the retail shelves, but they never did anything with it. I mean, I just made all those mistakes that we all make unless you have somebody teaching you how to make those mistakes. So once I got out of that contract, I went a whole different direction. Mark and we were talking about this tonight. One of the biggest mistakes I think inventors make is they don't target a market. Like with his product, for example, not to pick on you. You know, he's got you know, a nursing home market for you know, assisted living to use that product. He's got Sally's, whatever, to be a distributor. He's maybe could hook up with Revlon or HSN, or he's got so many directions that he's going that he's not targeting one specific thing. You need to get success before you're going to get success. You need to at least have one thing under your belt. For me, it was the optical industry. I went into the optical, I gave up the consumer package after the Foster Grant deal, and I said, you know what? I was so scattered. I was like, oh, I could do this, I could do that. I just said, I'm going to focus on one thing. And I consciously said that. I knew I had different markets, but in my head I said, okay, I got to get something that's successful. So what I ended up doing is I put a little ad in a little optical magazine. It was a picture of my screw, and it was Envision Monday, which was an optical trade magazine. And all it said, it was like this big. It said, iEagle, that's the name of my company, invents revolutionary screw to help in repair of glasses. I never thought that was going to happen. I was like, what's new in the optical section? A couple days later, I get a phone call from this guy. He's an optometrist in Long Island, and he goes, is that what I think it is? And I said, I don't know, what do you think it is, you know? And he goes, you have those? And I go, yeah, I have them. And he goes, could you send me some? And I go, sure. So I send this guy a couple of screws. The next day, because I sent them overnight, the next day the guy calls me up and he said it just like this. He goes, shit. He goes, I can't believe that I didn't think of this. He goes, I've been fixing and making glasses for 35 years. He goes, all I do is think about tools and how I can improve a tool and how I can. Nobody ever thought about improving a screw. So they're all fixing got all these tools they're using to hold the glasses together and hold the screw and all of that. So he was such an advocate for me. Only takes one person. This guy called his salesperson that sold him the screws. And he said, you gotta see this thing, it's unbelievable. Well, his salesperson went to his boss, who owns OptiSource International, who's my exclusive distributor to the optical industry today. They've sold 5 million screws in less than 2 years. And when I first launched the screw, it was at a trade show, and OptiSource has 500 products that they sell. At the first trade show ever, 2/3 of their revenue was stamping. Yeah, and it was 6 months later, I won the Optical Laboratory Association Award of Excellence in the United States. And since then, it's just taken off and taken off. So once I got into the optical, and plus, wait, I didn't tell you the best part. They paid me a lot of money for an exclusive distribution agreement. I was almost even after I signed that deal with them. So But that's when I just gave it to them. I trusted them. They've done an awesome job. And one day I walked into Walmart and I don't know, Walgreens, and I went, oh my God, I got to do the consumer kit now. And I had no clue how to do it. None whatsoever. So I went to trade shows, and you know, one thing about trade shows I've learned, when you're in the beginning stages of it, don't spend your money for a booth. Walk the trade show. Find products that are like yours or the market that you're trying to get into, and pick up business cards. Introduce yourself to people. Get your leads. They don't want to hear you at the trade show because they're selling their products there. They don't want you selling to them. But it's a great way to connect and get to the next, you know, the introductory stage. You get an email address, you can bother the crap out of them with emails, you know. And that's what I did. I started just hounding people. And they hated me. Well, Mark probably knows. I don't know who else got the emails from me in the Walmart contest. Did you get one or two every day?
I voted.
But that's what it takes to make it. You can't take no for an answer. Did anybody watch the new invention show Monday night?
Yeah.
Did you? On the Food Network? On the Food Network, on 9 o'clock on Mondays, there's a new inventors show. And it's Patrick Raymond, who's the head of the Manhattan Inventors Association, where I went to speak, and Steve Greenberg, who's the gadget guy. They started a new show, and they go around the country looking for products that are food related. So it's too bad you didn't watch it. Maybe you guys can find it on the internet or something, because it was really enlightening.
AM or PM?
PM. They went around and they found 3 products to do with food. And the process is they narrow it down to 1 to take to the next step. And the next step is to make sure that the design is good and everything's good about it. And then they bring it to Life Brand or Lifetime Brand. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's a big company. And you know, Lifetime Brand or something? I don't know. No. Anyway, so they narrowed it down to this one invention, which I thought was a good invention, okay? You know when you have kids and you have the cartons of milk in your refrigerator and they're so little that they can't get the carton thing? Mm-hmm. What she invented was this tray that the carton of milk sits into, and you know where the lid is. She put a handle on it. So you just push the handle down and the milk comes out, or the orange juice comes out, and that was the product. And so I thought it was a good product. They thought it was a good product, and they bring it to Lifetime Brand. And guess what? They said no. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. You know, you always think there's going to be a happy ending, right? But what it said to me was, it wasn't the right place for her product. It wasn't that she had a bad product. It just wasn't the right fit. And sometimes you have to realize that no only means no for that moment. It's not no for the future. It's not no, and it's only no to that person. You can't make people buy your product and believe in your product. They either have to get it or they're not going to get it. And if they say no, you can't let that stop you. I've been told no so many times that I don't even know what that word means anymore, because I said that it didn't work for me. I mean, I'm now in Walgreens, Rite Aid, Ace, True Value, everywhere. I'm everywhere. But they all told me no. Walgreens told me no. Rite Aid told me no. They all told me no. And if I would have listened to them, guess what? I'd have been sitting at home and that would have been in my closet. And you have to find ways, clever ways, to get your product out there. It's not going to be the traditional way. You're not going to pick up the phone and say, hey, I got this new product. Can you want to see it? It's not going to happen. I mean, when I was in that Walmart, this is outside the box. You've got to think outside the box. Anything traditional is not working anymore. It's not going to work. So you got to forget everything you learned. And when I was in the Walmart contest, you know what we did? We had a screw costume made. She dressed up as a screw. We flew to New York. we got on Good Morning America and the Today Show. We walked around New York City handing out cards that had the voting information on it, and we taped a screw to it. And we say, you got screwed in New York, and we would hand them out. Yeah, they did. And so it was not traditional ways of doing things. You can't, because it's never going to happen if you try and do it the traditional way. Let me see what else I got here.
How's the international?
How is it?
Yeah.
I'm selling in the UK, Netherlands, Italy, Australia, right now.
Is it retail or?
I'm only optical right now. I haven't gone into the retail market there yet. Got a lot of people interested. You know, that's the other thing. You guys, you got to pick your partners carefully. Figure out, you know, when people say I can help you or I can do this, ask them what they've done. I mean, that's a telltale thing. You know how many people have told me, I can sell, I'm a salesperson. I can get you in Walgreens. I can get you in Rite Aid. You know, dumb me never said, okay, what products have you got there? None. You got to get yours, though. You know? So, I mean, I had given it to a salesperson in Washington to get it. Oh, he can get me in everywhere. He got me in nowhere. Once I took it back from him, that's when it got places because I did it. And this guy told that he knew every retailer in the world and was going to get my product on the shelves. It doesn't work that way. If you don't control your own destiny, nobody's going to control it for you. And people want to take the easy way out. They come up against a wall and they want to either pass the buck to somebody else because they don't know what to do, or they want to pay somebody that doesn't know what they're doing to do it. It doesn't work. Inventing sucks. I tell people that all the time. I hate it. I hate every step of it. But it's given me a good living, and it's given me an opportunity to do what I love. So I'm going to sell screws for a couple more years, and then I'm never going to sell another screw again. I'm going to spend my time helping people because I know how to do it now. I know it from soup to nuts. I know how to go from the patent to the market. And I don't charge a dime. I don't want anybody's money. I have my own money. This is something that I believe in because I see how our country is so stifled with innovation being stuck in a hole. You wonder why we're in the shape we're in. We're in the shape we're in because it's broken. Everything's broken, including this. And if I can make a difference in it, I'm going to do it. And that's my goal. And I'm telling you right now, you can have my email address. If you have questions, email me. I'll email you back. I can't spend time selling your product for you, but I can give you advice. And that's the only thing I can do for you.
Yeah, you're talking about traditional doesn't work anymore. Where is your line from saying I quit traditional and I step above that?
Just
Does
give
that
me an
make sense?
example.
Huh?
Can you give me an example?
How
How about this?
When you was doing the ordinary thing and you were trying to target this person, they say no, 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 and you had to come up with a new range. You had to go above that, you said.
Yeah.
So what is your way of looking at that I got out of the rut I was at to say I got to do something different? What made you click to say I'm doing different, and where did that lie at?
I was sitting in front of a buyer who was like 22 years old and he was telling me no. And I'm thinking, who is this kid to tell me no? He don't, you know, one thing about buyers, they don't own Walmart, they don't own Walgreens, they don't give a crap if your product's in there.
Right.
So you don't go through them.
When you was doing your regular thing and showing what you had to show, you was doing your routine advertising, what did you change about that part to make it more impressive, more better to say, this is what it is?
I went to a different avenue. I didn't go through a buyer, I went through corporate. You know, I would send free kids to the whole corporate office. I just put them in and send them. You know, I didn't care who I mean, I would give them out to, actually, I brought y'all one. Everybody who's here can have a kid. I brought them. Yeah. But, you know, it's, you know, you have to give away things. You have to like, so I got turned down by the buyer of Costco. And I'm from Washington State. I lived there half the year, okay? Costco's headquarters in my state. I win a Walmart competition. I'm from Washington. Costco, the president of Costco totes that he's a homeboy and he's all about Washington State. Well, I can't get to the damn buyer. So guess what I did? I wrote the president of Costco a letter. He reads every letter. That's one thing I knew about him. He reads every letter that comes into that place. I told him, I got something that's going to save your... They have optical stores there. Every time they fix a pair of glasses, it saves them 10 minutes. That's money. Do you think he's going to care? Yeah, he's going to care. So you can't think like that buyer is the end-all.
Oh, no.
You know, so you have to think of other ways to go around. So are you asking me when I decided not to do it the traditional way?
No, what was your format for changing? Say, if you had a card with your screws on it, your letters that you sent, your invites to people to look at my product, and that wasn't working, what avenue did you actually take to get their attention by looking at something different that you put together?
I did that, and then I went to trade shows. I walked trade shows, and I met people. You know, building a relationship is key. You know, once you have a good relationship with somebody, it builds off of that. You know, if you can get somebody to like you, that's 90% of the battle. They don't even, I mean, I had a, did anyone know what Convenient Valet is? Convenient Valet is the CV that you see in all the airports, and they got the aspirin and all those products. Well, I got a call today from a sales rep that said he got Convenient Valet to take my product. Now, I've been working on Convenient Valet for 2 years. But you know what? The guy who was selling it had an issue with the price. The guy who worked for me. And I said, you know what, Jeff? I go, you're conveying that to them. I said, because they don't have an issue with price. Nobody's ever had. Walmart didn't have an issue with price. And everybody says Walmart's the one that's going to have an issue. When you got IP, and you got nobody who's going to compete with you, and you got a better way to do something, price should never be the issue. And it's all in the way that you talk and how you say it. If you think yourself that price is an issue, you're going to convey that price is an issue. So don't ever think that price is an issue. Price is never an issue if you have a good product and it's got a good IP. I mean, would you save yourself 10 minutes and spend an extra $1 to fix your glasses? It's with every product. It's like with your product. It's any product that does make something easier. You spend an extra $1. Who cares? Do you have a question?
Yeah, what, did you have to rename any of your product when you sold in foreign countries?
Rename it or
Yeah.
redo it in different packaging?
No, well, obviously you have to repackage it because of another language, but did you select a different name for different countries? Okay, so the name that you have acclimates well with those countries.
Mm-hmm.
And at what point did you bring on your associate?
How long have you been working for me? A year and a half?